Hi there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. My name is Josh and I am a teacher here at the Demon, and joining me are two guests that I'm sure you all have heard of if you've been catching up on their great show, Crushing 1L. Joining me, Abhi, Aaminah, both 1Ls as well. Welcome both to Demon Daily, glad to have you.
Thank
Thanks for
you. I
having us,
love
Josh.
doing a little crossover episode, like a little Hannah Montana Sweet Life. That's a Raven
That's,
moment.
I love that. That's the perfect analogy for this. This is great. We have a lot of LSAT students that are currently kind of like in the application cycle and are looking at trying to make some decisions. And so we wanted to take an opportunity to make sure that we were reaching some of those students who are in the midst of their decisions. Now, Crushing 1L airs every Thursday. And so Abhi and Aaminah have, for the past year during their 1L experience, kind of tracking what 1L has been like. And they're kind of getting into some of that like crossover 0L 1L work now. We're going to bring them on, make sure that you're here in a little bit, and show you a little bit what Crushing 1L's like. So thanks both for coming. Really excited to have you.
Excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
All right. The big topic today, we got a request from someone who has multiple offers for law school and is trying to make a decision about which one they should go to. So starting off, Abhi, tell me a little bit about where you're at in school and how you got there, and kind of what was your decision-making process when picking that school.
Absolutely, Josh. And to echo Aaminah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I'm a 1L at Penn. And the decision that I made to get here, I think it was a combination of I wanted to get the best legal education I could for the least amount of money possible. So Penn was a really great combination of good at school, for lack of a better word. It's a pretty darn good law school with and what does it mean to be a good law school? For us, I think it means good employment outcomes.
Yep.
Good faculty that produce a lot of research, a lot of opportunities for students to get involved with that research or with pre-professional employment stuff, internships, externships, judges like us too. Those are the things that I would call make a good law school a good law school. And for the least amount of money possible, I have a full ride to Penn, and that's a huge part of this.
Yeah.
I think the other things that I considered, I prefer small class sizes. Penn is a
Okay.
smaller school. We only have about 200 something people in each class. So that means that my 1L section is less than 90 people. And that was important to me. There was also, I think, partly related to the smaller class size. It feels a little bit more collegial here than other places. I'm not saying other places don't feel collegial, but definitely feels collegial here. Small groups, people break out into smaller friend groups. Everybody's helpful. When I visited, it seemed like everybody was working together, sharing notes. One team, one dream mentality here at Penn, and those are all the things that drew me in. And it's been a blast, and all of those things have been true so far.
So before I have Aaminah talk about her story, a couple of things. First off, for everyone at home, resources that Abhi that you used in order to determine things like employment outcomes and class size. Where would I want to know that about my school? Where would I find that?
Yeah. Well, you gotta go to every school has an employment page. So if you just Google insert law school here, employment statistics. If the law school is worth its weight in salt, which I hope that you're only considering law schools that are, they will have some sort of employment statistics page. They'll show you, for instance, a breakout of which states or cities that their students end up practicing in. That was an important consideration for me. I wanted to end up in DC. Penn sends a lot of students to DC. What kinds of firms do Penn students end up at? They break it out by size. So like larger than 500 attorneys, traditionally considered big law, or as Aaminah and I discussed last week on C1L, mid law, right? If that's your goal, see if your school sends anybody to mid law. And for instance, I think, shout out to UCLA, I think 99% of firms in LA, mid law firms in LA, are probably mostly UCLA grads. So these are the kinds of things that I think somebody should be thinking about when they're thinking about, I'm going to law school to practice law and be an attorney. What does that mean? It means my law school should get me a job. What kind of job is my law school going to get me? Go in with your eyes wide open.
Yeah. For the class size, that's actually something that's reported on the 509 reports, which you can find at LSAT Demon Scholarship Estimator. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes. You go to that scholarship estimator, click on your school, you can see their roll call of kind of the tuition breakdown. You can see how many students like Abhi are getting that full ride so that you can kind of compare your offer and whether or not it's actually a good offer. And then you can also see at the top there what the class sizes are going to look like if you're trying to figure if that's something that's also important to you. Oh, sorry, Abhi, you can add something?
No, I was just, and
okay.
The 509 is just full of important information.
Oh, yeah.
I think it has faculty to student ratio. It has the medians of what kinds of scholarships and what proportion of scholarship students get. Please, please, please do not pick a law school without looking at the 509.
Yeah, 100%. Aaminah, your story.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna be so honest, like my decision was much, 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 much more
Okay.
simplistic. Like my almost singular guiding light was where can I go to law school for practically nothing, if not nothing. Um, and so like when my like initial chart was like who has full ride scholarships that I can apply to.
Yeah.
And with UCLA, I mean, you know, I know that in LSAT land you're not supposed to do binding decision. Sue me, I did it.
Okay, let's talk
um,
about that then. So,
yeah.
first off, we don't why we don't say do binding decision, because there are a lot of binding decisions, and I think I know what UCLA's binding decision program is because
Mhm,
I decided not to apply for it, and I remember looking at it. But generally, binding decision does not come with a guaranteed scholarship amount.
mhm,
Lots of schools. It's not the case for everywhere, but if you don't have a scholarship amount, that school knows you are legally obligated to attend their school now and cannot attend a different one, which means they have all the power in determining what kind of money you get to attend. Now, I think that's not the case for UCLA. Am I right about that, Amina?
yeah, so the scholarship program that I applied for was a guaranteed full ride, non-conditional scholarship. They also have another one that's a similar thing, but it's the one I applied for is merit-based, then it's called the Distinguished Scholar Scholarship, and
Mm-hmm.
then or program. And then the other one is the Achievement Fellows program, and that one is also full ride, but it is not merit-based. It's more like, based on your I'm missing the word here, but your other qualities.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, so for me, that was like, where can I go for free?
Yeah.
So I started there. And then also, keeping on the Disney Channel theme, I am a hashtag LA baby, Jonas Brothers. But
Camp Rock.
yeah, I'm an LA native, so I was like, I would love to stay in LA. Like, I
Yeah.
am also entertainment centered. UCLA is incredibly entertainment centered, entertainment law centric. I mean, obviously, to your point of like the firms that hire UCLA students, there's a heavy, heavy, heavy delegation of like, even though you can't really say you want to do entertainment in Bigwell, there's a lot of us being funneled into entertainment-esque firms.
Mm-hmm.
And so like those were kind of my two like major points, like where can I go for free? And then where can I, pursue this interest I have in entertainment law? UCLA easily checked both of those boxes. I applied to the early decision program and they accepted me. And I was
Great.
like, awesome.
That's amazing. I love that. And I think that highlights kind of the right way to do that, right? Which is like, you're getting the money, it's the program that you would be most happy with. And so that's very different than I think what some people do, where they look and go, oh, my stats are lower than the medians, so I'm going to do binding decision as like a shoot my shot, and like hopefully by
Mm,
selling my soul of and like agency to decide where I go to law school, they will let me in. And then they do so at just terrible scholarship. So very, very stark dichotomy, I think, to the way we typically hear about it. Now, I do want to talk though. You are interested, you find, you have your particular area of law that you want to do. How did you kind of evaluate UCLA's entertainment program, knowing that
mm.
that's going to be like a good pipeline for you, knowing with your interest?
I mean, I think, for instance, I was attending some of like the entertainment events that they were doing prior to actually starting law school. Again, because
Hmm.
I'm in the area, I was able to like go and visit. So like I
Yeah.
went to talks that they had with entertainment lawyers and stuff like that. Of course, also as Abhi mentioned, we have a lot of UCLA grads at firms around here. So not that I talked to so many of our alums before going to law school, but that's another way that I would have like connected with people if I wasn't like, I'm pretty sure this is where I want to go. But UCLA is just such a big name in the entertainment law conversation. Like coming from an entertainment background, having worked with entertainment lawyers, like I was already kind of like adjacent to that space and knew that like that was a really good school to go to if I was considering that as like a serious possibility about where I wanted to go in my legal career. Like even the entertainment lawyers I worked with in my at the production company I was working with was a UCLA grad. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What I want to highlight is that you never mentioned you looked at USA News ranking for top X program.
Oh no.
Very
Oh no.
Reddit is full of people who say, I want to do X law. US News has these like specialized rankings, as do other, like not just to dunk on US News. Lots of companies do these like specialized rankings. Top 3 in AI law, top 2 in trial, top 10 in healthcare, and you'll see schools that are very low ranked generally put these on their recruiting websites. It is not like here. Please hear the difference between that style and Amina's background, because those specialized rankings are oftentimes just like popularity contests among professors that like, oh, I know one professor who does this kind of work. That doesn't mean anything about outcome and employment, though, which is what matters to you as a student. And so I like that much more, Aaminah, in terms, and I figured that was probably the case.
Yeah, that's Josh, that would be like picking a toothpaste based on which one has the biggest like 4 out of 5 dentist sticker on it.
Yes,
Like
right.
that's not like, come on, it's advertising. Like it's just advertising. That's all it is.
That's exactly right. And so like those programs, please don't think that those program rankings equal employment outcomes. Similarly, right? Employment outcomes are going to look very different at the school rankings generally. I am here. I am over here. I'm not at an illustrious T14. Sorry, everybody. I chose to go to a regional school. Again, to your point, Aaminah, money. I was looking for a school that gave me a full ride plus stipend, helping pay for school, which is incredible. I go to BYU in Utah, and when I was looking at employment outcomes, to Abhi's point, I was looking at ones that had connections to cities that I was interested in. And so I would look, Dallas, for example, is the area that I'm going to be going this summer. I looked up alums in Dallas from my school and reached out to them before I ever made my decision, ensuring that it could set me up for that kind of success. And I got a great job, but because I was verifying that the school had the kind of employment outcomes. Now, T14s, I think generally those employment outcomes are all going to be very solid. When you're making decisions on schools between 25 and 50, I think that's where the employment outcomes really matter in identifying what kind of market you want to be in, what city, what kind of firm.
And I just something to add. I think I don't want what we're saying to be misconstrued as you need to go to a school that has one of these pipelines because that's the only way to get a job in XYZ industry, because then people will come at us and say, oh, you guys are elitist, or I'm different. I'm betting on myself. I'm going to be the exception. Honestly, all power to you. We're not saying you can't get XYZ outcome without these relationships and pipelines in place. We're just saying it's a hell of a lot easier. And to Josh's point, to be a little bit more mechanical about it, if you're interested in working in a certain city or geographic region, find the 5 or 6 biggest firms in that region, go to their website, and you can actually filter by law school. So go to like, Jones and Smith Law Firm in Chicago and go and search the attorney page and look for the law school you're considering. Are there attorneys at that law firm that went to that law school? How many? Is it just the one person, or is it like 5 or 10? These are the kinds of basic pieces of research you can do to make yourself feel a little bit more confident in your ability to achieve certain outcomes.
Yeah, and I like, just to echo what you both were saying, I mean, Josh, you and I were both talking about connecting with alums and like connecting with people in this field. Like, again, to highlight, it was not US News that told me that UCLA is an entertainment law school. Like, this is something I knew by being in the space of entertainment and talking with people. And Abhi, what you're saying, like, of course, you don't have to go to UCLA to do entertainment law. And like Abhi, you and I talked about this on C1L. Like, there are people at Penn who are like interested in entertainment, but it's like being in the space of a place that has easy access to that. Like I had like Doug Emhoff, who's like obviously the former second gentleman, but also prolific entertainment lawyer and a teacher or a professor at USC. Like, he came and spoke with us. That's not happening at Penn because he's not getting on a flight to go and speak at the law school there, right? Like, this is something that we have access to because we're in this space. So it's like, these are definitely things that you want to be considering, like, when you're choosing your law school.
Yeah, and just on the other side of it, geography matters. We're situated here in Philadelphia between DC and New York, so we get a lot of like prominent business attorneys taking the Amtrak down to Philly, or prominent government attorneys taking the Amtrak up from DC. These kinds of spatial realities, the geographical reality of you are going to law school in a physical place, and we are humans and we inhabit physical space. These are just basic things that we need to consider.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because so many people will go, oh, I need to get to the higher the rank the school, the better chance I have of ending up wherever. So it's worth paying more money. It's like, maybe, but UCLA, great. But if you want to work in Georgia, go to University of Georgia for more money and be in the market that you want to work in. Like that, there are opportunities there and that connections that I think with an alumni network, people underplay sometimes. And that geography I think is so important. And it's not to say that a school might, like, for example, I know one we get a lot of questions about, gives a lot of scholarships, is Arizona. I don't think you have to say, I only want to be in Phoenix. But if you're, I bet Texas probably does pretty well with Arizona. I bet California does pretty well with Arizona. But if you're going to Arizona hoping to end up in New York, it's going to be harder. And it's, again, to Abhi's point, it's not that you can't do it. It's that you should be looking at and have start with the end in mind. What is the end goal? The end goal is not law school. The end goal is employment. And so which school is going to set you up for the best chances of that employment that you are interested in? And not just that superficial news scraping, we're looking, talk to alum, talk to your industry, look at your industry, and that's going to give you a much better view. Is there anything that we missed?
I don't think so.
I think that kind of covers it.
I will just throw out there that cost of living is a thing. And that's different for different people, but that kind of just relates to the geography that we're talking about. You are going to be living in the place that you're going to go to law school. So just keep that in mind. That's a real cost.
Yeah. And also, just I really do like the point of start with the end. Even when I was advising other LSAT students, how do I pick? How do I pick? It's why are you doing it, right? And and that's such an important question. I think that kind of gets that can kind of get swept away at times. But when, especially I'm sure you guys have experienced this when you're actually in law school and you're in the actual trenches. If you're why am I here? And the answer is I don't know.
Oh, I can't imagine.
That's going to be very difficult for you. I'm telling you from experience. It's going to be really, really difficult to be I should keep doing this because it's incredibly arduous and mentally difficult if you don't have a purpose. It's just difficult, even just of trying to get access to the proper resources and take yourself in the proper direction if you're not sure why you're going through this process. So definitely do some soul searching before you start applying to law school. I know a lot of especially KJDs, you just want to go straight through, or if you're having that parental pressure of you got to go to law school. That was not me, but if that's you, it was me. But yeah, and it's you're not doing it for you. It's going to make it so much more difficult to really get that end goal of I'm employed at this firm doing this work that I actually care about, or whatever it is that you want out of law school, whatever. Start with your end.
And you're not alone in that journey for meaning. Ask attorneys how they got to their answer. That can help. That can help a ton.
And here's the last thing. You don't have to have the final answer, but you should have an idea. Right?
Yeah.
If you change your mind, that's totally great. And honestly, you're kind of expected to. But do you know the kind of work that some of these attorneys do? If you haven't, where would you be happy living after law school? If you're not setting yourself up at least for kind of a plan B, even if plan A isn't totally clear, then you're doing it backwards. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask our illustrious Crushing 1L hosts, you can email podcast@crushing1l.com. They're going to be the best ones for questions like, how did you pick a law school? What's law school like? What have been the realities of your law schools after you made those decisions, and how did they line up with your expectations? All I think would be questions they'd be happy to address over on their show. If you have questions for the Demon, you can email daily@lsatdemon.com. Thanks for listening.